Thank you so much for joining us today. As you know, we get together once a month and we explore markets all over the world. Our goal, our mission is to educate you on the possibilities outside of your hometown, whether it's to buy a secondary home or a vacation home, and in some instances, an additional property, like to monetize and gain you some income. We want you to walk away from here at the end of the hour with a broadened sense of possibilities. So we started this at the first of the year to highlight properties offered by Keller Williams offices and agents internationally. KW is in 50 countries and likely by the end of this hour, 51. They're growing incredibly fast. We're indeed the largest real estate brokerage in the world. But with the past 7 months, of course, everybody's decided to stay a little bit closer to home. So we elected to turn our focus to the U.S. markets. So I think as all of these agents will tell you, and as I'm talking to agents all around the U.S., people buying these secondary homes, it's really become a hot topic. People are choosing to be able to drive to places, limiting their travel somewhat, but still wanting a place to enjoy with your family and your friends. So everybody's kind of experienced a surge of activity, and we just realized it was a benefit for us to bring this information to the public and to other agents so that they can share the word and kind of spread the opportunities. It's incredibly important, not just for the wealthy, but for everyone, that they can buy properties that they can live and enjoy in. Just another place to gather or work, as people are able to work from anywhere now. So it's just a great topic for us to share. So I'm really excited for today's focus because over the next hour, we're going to discover the opportunities in sunny Southern California. From the coast to the cosmopolitan, celebrity-studded LA, Cali has been a dream destination for many years for many, many people. And so let me introduce to you our experts that are so generous with their time today. And so ladies first, Christina Arechaederra. We practiced this and I still messed it up. Primarily on the west side of LA. Think Santa Monica, Malibu, Brentwood, Pacific Palisades. Is that right? LA is lucky to have a fine human being such as yourself. Next is lovely Lisa Bohlken, who lives in the enviable lifestyle in gorgeous San Diego, a favorite city of mine. Now no other than Steve Epstein from Santa Barbara and Montecito. And that is interestingly one place I have not been to in California on our panel today, but I suspect Steve is the gentleman to talk me and everyone else into visiting. And from the resort city of Palm Springs, Mr. Ritz-Carlton, Brady Sandahl, welcome, my friend. And from the coast to the west side, Bel Air, and the star-studded 5 square miles of Beverly Hills, from the LA area, the man, Lee Ziff. Any paparazzi following you around today, Lee?
I have my people take care of them.
Okay, there you go. We'll ask for autograph later. So, audience, I want you to know that these agents, I know every one of them personally, they run huge businesses. They are far too humble to tell you their numbers, but I can promise you it would get your attention real fast. So we are fortunate to have them with us today to share the opportunities in their market. So for our viewers who are watching for the first time, I know we've got a lot of repeat people, so welcome back. This is the format. So we'll have a series of Q&A, and our experts will kind of take turns answering portions of those questions. And then at the end of that Q&A session, we are going to share, this is the fun part, we're going to share some of their properties in their respective areas. So audience, please, please, please take note of these agents so that you can reach out to them directly. At the end of our time, we're going to have contact information for each one of them. It'll appear on the screen. So be prepared to take a shot of that, enter them into your contacts for future business so that they can be the resource for you and for your clients. And anyone in the public sector that's watching this, reach directly out to these folks. They are wonderful and you will be well taken care of. They indeed are experts. And my last special request of you is that if you're enjoying this and learning from it, share it with your friends. And if you're an agent, share it with your database. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to ask each one of you to introduce yourselves and kind of cover, as I know California can be interesting in terms of sections, and so go cover what all you do, where your work is, name all of your markets, and then after that, I've got two questions to get us started of you. I'm wanting to know what is special about your particular areas, what draws buyers there, and what you're seeing in your respective market of the moment. We know COVID has changed some things. Most places are booming, but that's just what we hear. Set the record straight. So let's go ahead and start with Lee.
I've been in Beverly Hills for over 20 years selling real estate, but I do most of my business outside of Beverly Hills because I cover such a wide area. I cover places from downtown LA to the beach, and from the south of the boulevard in San Fernando Valley down to about the 10 freeways, kind of my base. It's a big area. And what draws people to each neighborhood is a little bit different. Beverly Hills, it tends to be the name, the prestige. They have kids, the school systems. If it's the Sunset Strip, it's the views, the nightlife. And, if you're a young hipster, you're going to be wanting to be more on the east side near Silver Lake, downtown, Echo Park. So most of my business is by referral, so I cover a lot of turf.
That sounds great. What's happening there right now?
Really busy, super busy. Especially under 2 million, which would be entry point for most of our areas. Over 10 million has got a ton of inventory consistently through the areas that have over $10 million listings. It's about a 2-year inventory. And that's consistent, whether it be the Sunset Strip, Beverly Hills Post Office, Bel Air, Brentwood, over 10 mil, pretty saturated. Under whatever, 2 mil, there is nothing under 2 million in Beverly Hills, but in the other areas, really hot, very hot.
Really hot. How about you, Lisa? Tell us what's going on in San Diego and a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a San Diego native, and I have lived in North County and Rancho Santa Fe. I've had offices in Coronado and service a lot in the metro area as well. Most of my business, like Lee said, is repeat and referral, so I'm kind of wherever people need me to be. I also do a lot of relocation, and also, I'll be sharing a property of multifamily, of creating wealth and investing.
Wonderful. And same thing in terms of low inventory in a hot market.
Absolutely. So as of this time last year, we are down 53% in detached homes on the market. Wow. And 28% on attached homes. The price points where we're seeing the biggest increase is the 2 to 5 million has seen about a 30% increase in prices over the last year. So yeah, pretty much everything is multiple offers. Do a lot of off-market networking. Just closed one this week for off-market. So getting really proactive in a market where we don't have as much as we'd like to choose from.
Right. I've seen some of your posts on your sales lately, so congratulations.
Thank you.
You've done quite well. And Christina, share with us.
Well, I'm Christina Arechaederra. I've been in the business 31 years now and working always in Pacific Palisades, based here. My business tends to be most of the coastal areas, mostly referral. Where we're seeing so much activity is in the $2 to $4 million range. We can't keep the inventory. The inventory is right now quite low. Like San Diego, Lisa said, we're seeing about 30% appreciation over last year.
30% in 1 year?
Yes, it's
Wow.
crazy. Things are getting bid up to a degree where I actually just had a huge challenge even getting a property to appraise, because what's about to be closing and coming on the books, people are moving. They want out of their existing home and into something new. So we're really seeing a demand.
Wow. 30% appreciation. What do you think that's going to look like in a couple of years?
It's hard to imagine. Yeah. We've really been very steady in our market, but you know, those numbers, they're getting so high. And as I said, we recently had one not appraised. So
right. Yeah, I think a lot of people are struggling with that right now. So okay, Steve, share with us about your area and yourself.
All right, Steve Epstein. I head up the Epstein Partners at KW. I think I've been at KW 9 years, 32 years in the business. I may be the old guy here in the business. I don't know. Let's see here. We service all of the southern half of Santa Barbara County, and then we go up over the hills into wine country, which is Los Olivos, Santa Ynez, Solvang. One of our partners is embedded up there. You know, our market is seeing, I think, what a lot of the second home and luxury markets are seeing, and that is we're seeing a lot of people that have figured out they're not going back to their high-rise office building, maybe ever, for their job, and they're buying bigger, nicer houses because they feel like, hey, I can live anywhere, and I've always wanted to live somewhere better or different than where I was. So we're seeing a huge influx from larger, more densely populated metropolitan areas. Some of which are priced competitively, or in the case of the Bay Area, more than us. So we seem like a deal, but I'm just going over our stats that our marketing gal just sent out. Last month, Santa Barbara had 138 sales for a median price of 1.8. Montecito had 18 sales for a median price of 4.8. Goleta, which is sort of our version of the San Fernando Valley, a lot of smaller tract homes, they're basically at $1 million now. And if you can get one under $1 million, there's, you know, a dozen offers. So that's kind of what it's looking like. The market's crazy.
So did you say that I think you said something about did you say something about a 40% increase in something?
I didn't give the actual percentage of increase. I've got the bar graphs here. So I mean, like if I just looked at sold median, in August, we reported it a little over 1.1, and now we're reporting it, you know, just under 1.3 in a month.
I see. Okay, great. And then Brady, I love your area, Brady, and I love you.
Jeannette, I love you as well. Hello, everyone. So we're in Palm Springs, California, which is about 2 hours east of Lisa, or I should say northeast, 2 hours east of Lee, about 3 hours east of Steve. And with traffic for Christina, maybe 4 hours, so it depends. But we're actually 2 hours east, we're inland. And we are in a very small pocket, Jeannette, as you know, 45 minutes long. And in 45 minutes long, we actually have 120 golf course communities. So we're definitely a resort market who loves to golf, tennis, swim, what have you. People typically come here for the weather. Our winters will hover around 70, 75 Fahrenheit. Our summers are warmer, but it's a dry heat. While they come here for the weather, though, they actually choose to stay for the activities and the people. It's a very friendly valley. We have 9 cities, and everyone is extremely friendly and easy to do business with. In our local market, as Steve suggested, we have 3 types of buyers buying. Number one, buyers who would typically live in larger urban markets have figured out that they can work anywhere. So they'd rather take their next conference call alongside the pool, maybe on the golf course, alongside the tennis court. They also would rather homeschool their children in warmer weather than they would up in the Pacific Northwest where it's wet, or Chicago where it's snowy. The second buyer pool right now, all of those buyers that would typically fly to Hawaii or Mexico would rather travel to their secondary home by car. So they're staying in Lisa's market, they're staying with Christina or Lee's market or Steve's, but they're buying their secondary home in the Valley of Palm Springs. And third, those low interest rates, all those people who wanted a vacation home can now afford to get one at a lower monthly cost. So those three major buyer pools are causing our prices to go up, not as much as Christina's, only about 10 to 14.5%. A nominal increase, but affordability is still there. Average price point around $500,000. That gets you a beautiful home and a nice golf course community.
Well, that's a nice average price point. I think people will be surprised about that. So you actually led me right into my next question. So thank you very much for setting me up so nicely. But I really wanted to talk about, what your buyer looks like, because I think when people are trying to decide, and they haven't committed to an area yet, but they know, let's just say Southern California. I think one of the questions is it going to be a fit for me? So is there a way that you can kind of, a lot of you cover a lot of different areas, but a way that you can give us a feel, is it a lot more lately second home buyers, vacationers? I mean, like Brady, you've always been a resort market. So this may not, maybe the pace is different, maybe the feeder markets are different, but you've always had a very healthy resort market demographic. It might be different for some of you. I know it is for us. I mean, Austin was never like a second home market, but what we're seeing are people that are coming because their kids are here and they thought they would retire in 5 years and buy something, and they're choosing to do it now, take advantage of today's pricing instead of pricing later. And as Brady mentioned, interest rates, and they can. They're not tied to anything, but that's fairly new for us. We have never had like an influx of people who are looking for secondary properties or buying ahead of when they're going to move. In fact, what I just closed this morning, these people aren't going to move for several years, but they went ahead and bought it. They're going to use it. They're going to monetize it and rent it out and have it ready for them. So I'd love to hear from each of you just really briefly. Are you seeing a change in demographic? Where are your clients coming from? They coming from colder areas? What are you seeing in terms of your buyer pool?
Sure. So I'll just say that 90% of the people buying in Palm Springs are coming from the markets that these four individuals serve. It's not that they're exiting out of those markets, but they're now choosing to buy something in the Valley that they can get back to LA if they need to get back to quickly. And Jeannette, to your point, and that is people typically move for one of two reasons. Either they're moving away from pain or they're moving towards pleasure. And so in this market, we have to simply ask more questions to find out which of it is, and then direct them to the place that's either going to take away the pain or get them to a more pleasurable place for themselves and their family.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Lee, what are you seeing? Who's coming into your area?
So we're seeing a lot of people coming from New York, especially at the beginning of COVID, and a lot of people coming from San Francisco now. San Francisco is not as habitable as it once was. These people don't have to live in San Francisco to do the jobs that they were doing because they can telecommute. And we're less expensive than New York and San Francisco. It's two of the only markets that are more expensive than Los Angeles. So we're seeing that. We're seeing a lot of people just moving up. They are trapped at home with their kids. They want another bedroom. They're living in a rental and they want to take advantage of low interest rates. It's kind of all the above. And so what often amazes me is where the first time home buyer price point can be. I just sold a $2.5 million home to a first time buyer, and they actually didn't even need help from their parents. Usually at that price they do, but they just, had good jobs.
Yeah. We're seeing a lot of that too, as people are moving out of big cities where their expenses were high and they have great jobs. I mean, I couldn't have afforded something like that at some of the ages that my clients are buying, but, you know, good for them. And they're wanting to be smart with their money. And I think that's one of the questions that, you know, I'd like for you all to answer, you know, when appropriate. And the rest of the time we have is in your markets, are there spots where people can, you know, purchase and monetize? I know there's some restrictions on rentals and maybe short term. But if that is the case, as you're talking about your properties, be sure to mention that, because I think people are wanting to be really smart with their purchases. And with the advent of, you know, these last several years of popularity in Airbnb, people realize that they can do this, and that helps minimize their expenses and make these dreams work for them sooner rather than later. But I wanted to ask Steve, is this the fastest market that you've seen? You've been in business, I think, the longest, you said. So is this the fastest moving market that you've seen in your career?
No, this is not. This is the third go around for me on this. I got in '88. By '89 or '90, we were doing this, and then we had a correction between '90 or '91 for about 5 years. Then we started doing this again. Then we had the correction that we all saw, and now we're doing it again. So no, the difference is I have the comfort now of telling people after, and I don't show a lot of property. I'm still in production and listing, but I give most of the internet and random buyer leads to the team. But I do still show property. It's gotten to the point where you show property to somebody and they say, well, you know, we'll go home and sleep on this. And I've gotten to the point where I just, you know, you have to say, no, you need to be the 3 F's right now. You need to be first, fast, and full price, and actually over full price. And I didn't have the guts to be that pushy realtor guy in 1988. And I have no trouble now looking them straight in the eye and say, look, I've done this 3 times and this is what it's going to take. So no, this looks like the last 2 to me.
Well, I think you bring up a good point. And for viewers that are listening that are in the market, meaning not agents, take the advice of the agent. And that's why it's so important to really set yourself up with an expert, because I think the natural reaction of a buyer when they hear you have to make a full price offer is no, that they don't want to do that. And I can even speak from my own experience. We were looking at a secondary home in the Cape Cod area, and the agent that I was working with gave me advice, and I wouldn't take it, because while I might be an expert where I am, I thought I was also an expert where they were, and I wasn't coachable. And we lost out on that property by a very little bit. And that market has exploded. That lack of being coachable has cost me quite a bit of money, because we could have been riding this wave of appreciation. So I think that's a good, thank you, Steve, for bringing that up. I think that's a very good message. But the other thing that you mentioned, and maybe Lisa or Christina can join in on this next comment and give me your 2 cents, is I think one of the fears that I'm hearing from people, because markets are moving fast and because there's appreciation, is that it's too high, and they're afraid to purchase and then have a correction. But I know from my experience, I've been selling for 20 years and gone through 9/11 and 2008, is there might be a correction, but overall, the homes are way more expensive than they were, Steve, right when you started, or 20 years ago, or, you know, there's no right time. You got to get into that market and just start working with the environment that you're in right now. In the long run, you're going to be ahead. Waiting is not a solution. What do you think about that, Christina?
I couldn't agree more. You know, yes, the prices are increasing very quickly, but the appreciation here year over year has been so explosive. You know, we have very limited land. So you can only be, you know, how many miles are you going to be from the beach? That's it. It's all been developed. it always goes up in value. We have some of the finest hospitals in the world here locally, close by. That draws a lot of people. We, beyond the fact that we also have the iconic Malibu and, Santa Monica Pier, the mountains, the hiking trails, all of those things. It just continues to add value because all of that parkland will never be built out. So there is no empty land here. This is all you get. So we really don't have a big fear of overpaying unless you're looking to own it for 6 months and then sell it.
Right. Sure.
So Jeannette, there's a comment I could make on that, and that is, I think, Steve, you'll get a chuckle that in 2004-05 we were overpaying because of greed. We thought we could buy in phase 2 and sell in phase 4. But this is a market where the greed is about the value of time.
And lifestyle.
Right? So everyone is like getting older. We're not thinking about making money. We're thinking about being with our friends and our family in a safe area. We're thinking about giving up the long commutes. We're thinking about giving up the stress. We're thinking about giving up all of that so that we can get back to the core of enjoying our lives with ourselves and those we care about. So I think people are willing to pay more because the sound of the clock in their head is very different now than it was before COVID.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Raise your hand if every time you've bought a property for yourself, you haven't thought, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Life as I know it's going to end. How am I going to carry this property? I wish I'd never sold a property I'd ever bought. I wish I'd kept every darn property I'd ever got my hands on. And whether I felt like I was paying 50 grand too much or 250 grand too much, I chuckle when I sell them, right? I mean, if you just look at the trajectory of, my first condo, out of college was 120 grand, it's like, wish I still owned that.
My
first property was at the very height of the market, beginning of 1989. And I paid $315,000 for a duplex. Dumbest thing I ever did was sell it. That duplex today is worth about 1.5.
Yeah. What about you, Lisa?
Yeah, to what Brady was saying is, a lot of people's motivations are different now. And one of the things that's come out of COVID is you have taken away the looky-loos for the most part. I mean, the people who are in the market are sincere and they have different motivations, and I don't think the pricing scares them. And it's just like Lee said, what seems to be really high at the moment, I mean, we're on the West Coast. Come on, if it goes down a little bit, it's going to come back up higher. So the motivation is different. The fact that we have 50% less inventory. Christina spoke about appraisals. It's very common here now with the multiple offer scenarios to ask to waive the appraisal contingencies. I'm not seeing, the people who are in the market are very sincere and have that motivation. So I'm not seeing the fear of pricing.
Lisa, what would you say is the average, and I'm not talking about luxury, just the average price point in the areas that you serve?
Well, the metro area and surrounding areas, for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, just average kind of home, $750, maybe around that
it's
price.
It's still a very affordable number. I want to make sure that we convey to the viewers that you don't have to spend $3 and $4 million to get to California if that's where you're dreaming that you're going to retire and buy it now to avoid the appreciation, or you can work from there. I mean, so when we talk to our clients about goals, and I think somebody mentioned asking questions, and you hear about those things, it's really it's our obligation and a great opportunity to be able to help people get to their dreams faster than they would without you. So having this information to be able to say, you may not be living on the ocean, but you can get in the area and then work your way up if that's not ideal for you, the exact home. So you can get in at 750 and at least get out there if your kids or your work is there.
Yeah, you can actually get in for less than that the more you move out of the metro area. And you're still 15 minutes from the coast. So you can go a little further east to the college area or to El Cajon or some of the surrounding suburban neighborhoods. And you can get in for 500, 550, something like that. We also have one of the most affordable Pacific Coast, pricing to be at the ocean. So, there's that as well.
What would something on the ocean cost?
Well,
Base price, base.
base. Well, okay. So condo. You can get into. You can buy a 1-bedroom condo for 500,000. And be right by the coast. And then it just goes up from there. Yeah. We just sold the one oceanfront new construction, 9.9. That was the highest price ever in the Mission Beach, Pacific Beach area. So just kind of that was new construction, big house, oceanfront. So that's the high end of the range for that area. So it's not crazy, too crazy.
But Christina, you sell on the coast too. So what does that market look like versus what could somebody get into the area at?
So specifically in Malibu and in Pacific Palisades, we even have mobile homes that you can buy. So you could get into the area for as little as 400,000. But you can also get a 1-bedroom condo, and you could buy that in the 5 to 6 range. And we have a few affordable housing projects actually as well. So if you qualify for that, you can get in as 200,000.
But your average price point in the areas that you serve?
Our average price point is around 3.5 million, and can go up to 20, 30 million. Palisades doesn't have any ocean front or beach on the sand. So everything would be off on the bluffs, and that's when you're really right there. That's where you're paying the much larger dollars.
Lee, I would suspect you might have some homes priced at those stratospheric numbers as well.
Some, but I do lower end as well. So, I sold a home for 500,000. It was a fixer. It's on the east side, but it's in the city of Los Angeles. And you can even get on the beach. Not everything is in Christina's territory up in Malibu. If you go down to the Marina Peninsula, you can get right on the beach for $1.5 million. Now you're not in a big luxurious home, but you're on the beach, actually a beautiful beach, really beautiful. So there are other alternatives for people, especially if they're looking for second homes. And if you're willing to be near the beach, not on the beach, the possibilities open up even more. So there's a lot of affordable investments here. I sell a lot of apartment buildings. And, that's another way to do it. Just save a unit for yourself as a second home and rent the rest of it out. And now you have a great appreciating investment.
I'd like to mention, we just closed an escrow on, I listed a 2-unit in Coronado. So Coronado, very much resort living, very limited inventory. You cannot buy a house, and there's 3 different parts of Coronado, but in the village of Coronado, which is directly across from downtown San Diego, and again, very much resort living, you can't really touch a single family home for under $1.5 million. But this was 2 homes on a lot in the heart of the village, walkable to everything, right by the beach. Each one was very private. You didn't even know the other one existed. And we sold that for 2.37. So again, keep one for yourself and vacation rental it, and then have a long-term tenant in the other one, but just different ways of being able to leverage your buying power to get into the areas that you want.
Now, Lisa, you should have called Jeannette And then Jeannette would have called me and we would have bought that together and had the.
Oh, Brady. I'll get another one.
Brady, let's do it. Can you imagine? Oh my
I
God.
can. That's why I'm bringing it up, Jeannette. I can imagine. That's why I'm bringing it up. Yeah.
Let's do it. Start looking, Lisa. Start looking right
All
now.
right.
So Brady, I was kind of surprised for you to say 500,000 in Palm Springs. I mean, I don't know why, and I think a lot of people might be surprised by that. If I had $1 million, what could I buy?
Well, Jeannette, it is a surprise, you know, and I think with every market on here, the location will dictate the price. So literally you could spend $1 million and get a brand new 3,000 square foot condo in the heart and pulse of downtown Palm Springs. Or you can go 2 miles east and get an iconic mid-century ranch on a half acre with a beautiful resort pool and spa. So typically we start the conversation around price because that's what we're trained, but the conversation really is about lifestyle. And so we would, you know, we could give them that penthouse condo living, much like you'd have with Lisa in downtown San Diego, or you shift to an outlying market to get more land. But really, I mean, someone could buy right now, they could buy a 2-bedroom condo within a mile of downtown for under $200,000. And they can be in a golf course community, turnkey furnished.
Wow.
Lifestyle. So the decimal doesn't have to be too far over to live the lifestyle you want in Southern California's Coachella Valley.
Wow, that's enlightening. Thank you so much for that. So Steve, in your area, because I mentioned I haven't been there, but everything I've seen, gorgeous, picturesque. It looks to be a pricey area. So make sure to correct us on that if that's right or wrong. But also I'd love to know, is there the ability to purchase and rent out, or do you all have pretty tight restrictions on what someone can do from a rental perspective?
We do have some restrictions. Vacation rentals, which here at the city and the county are defined as less than 30 days, are essentially outlawed. They're happening. It just forced it all underground. People have got creative about how to do it, but there is an exception in the coastal zone. The Coastal Commission said that not allowing vacation rentals in the coastal zone is restricting affordable access to people to the coast. A good friend of mine who runs a vacation rental business got a bunch of his clients together and started that lawsuit, and so far they're winning. But there's plenty of ways around that, and people do buy things here and rent them out. I wanted to touch on something. Lee made an excellent point. I think it's really easy when we're talking about all these exciting uber high-end listings to sort of imprint on people that that's all we do. And I grew up here, and I'll be walking down the main street, down State Street, and I'll run into somebody. They're like, "Hey, Steve, we went to high school." I'm like, "Yeah, hey, how you doing, man? Hey, I just bought a home." Like, "Hey, super cool, thanks. Just curious, why didn't you call me?" Well, it was only $1.5 million, or it was only $2 million. And I see your name on these 5, 10, 15, $20 million properties. And I'm like, oh, there's the emoji, right? I'm like, yeah, I got 2 kids in college. Just see here. What's the commission on a $2 million? That's like half a year of tuition at these colleges. So, it's really easy to think that way. I'm looking at this email I get all the time from American Luxury. Let's see here. Ellen just listed a house here for $40 million. Riley Bechtel just bought a place here for $63 million. Maria Sharapova just bought here for 8.6, and Katy Perry in Orlando just paid 14.2. So it's really easy. And you probably fight this, Christina and Lee and other people on this call, that all we do are these Uber, I think the last listing I closed, or last property I closed yesterday, was $1.06 million.
Yeah.
I have no.
We find that too. It really should be about the relationship, and coming from the agent too. I have clients have been helping for 15 and 20 years, and their children are buying houses. And I want to make sure they might call and say, you can refer this to somebody. I know you don't go out 40 minutes outside of downtown, to buy a starter home. But I said, yes, I do, because my goal is to take care of the family. I don't care about the price point. But it's a message that we have to share with our clients. It's our responsibility to educate.
Jeannette, I won't torture you with the story, but some of my biggest streams of business have come from the smallest streams of business.
Oh, definitely. I agree. I agree. Well,
And the other thing, Jeannette, the other thing is that when you reach a certain level in the business, you develop relationships all over the place. So if somebody comes to us and slightly outside our territory, we'll either tell them who to talk to or partner with them. Christina was one of the top selling agents in Ojai, California, which isn't anywhere close to us, but it's because she had connections there and she was killing it there until they ran her out of town.
Jeannette, you're making a good point.
I give Christina
I'm having a hard time understanding that.
And I feel like the rest of you,
I'm so sorry. This is what happens with live. My dog is barking. That's our cue, actually, to move on to our property tour. So we're going to have, I think we're starting with Christina, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So her slide's going to come up. She's going to have a couple properties, and we'll just have a quick couple minutes on each one. We'll go one by one, and they can share all the details of the properties and if it applies, if a property like this could be rented out, what the monetary considerations are.
So this is, I chose this one because it's such a typical Pacific Palisades bungalow. This is a tiny little bungalow, 1,300 square feet, 1,377. On the house, the lot is under 3,500 square feet. It's near the bluff. It's a couple blocks from the bluff, and it was an older family from Palisades who has now gone to live with her family. The house is in terrible disrepair. It's in conservatorship, so it's going to court. We listed it at $1,650,000, and our first overbid is $1,933,000. And we are anticipating people coming and overbidding on that one.
Wow.
oh,
You made it look good, Christina.
It's very cute. I mean,
Way to pitch them, Christina.
Yeah,
I
well,
think it looks
you're not
great.
seeing the whole picture, but it does need work. But just to have a little foothold here, this is
Yes.
a perfect example of somebody who, the person who's currently the successful bidder wants to get out of the Palisades, but needs to have a foothold here. So this would be a second home that they would then also use as a rental when they're not here, but they can't be here. And I purposely chose properties like that to kind of give you a sense of
Thank you.
what's available.
What do you have next?
Okay, so this one's very interesting also. So this is very rare. It's very rare for the Palisades. This is brand new construction. We're still waiting for the C of O. My client purchased it for 5.2 and now is living in Utah. So we are getting the C of O, I think I just got an update. We thought we'd already have it, but it's coming next week, they say. And this will become either for sale again or a $20,000 a month rental. And that will be another, they'll be looking for shorter term. So they're not looking to do these long-term rentals, but he'd rather rent it than sell it.
Right. I can see that. It's a beautiful view. Why would you ever want to give that up forever? You might come back. You never know.
It's beautiful, and it's new construction, and that's really hard to find around here. So that's what's kind of special about that particular one.
Thank you very much. And who do we have next? Is this Lisa? Lisa.
yeah. So I mentioned that I love multifamily. I own multifamily. I work with helped a lot of clients create wealth with multifamily, and I'm excited about this one. We are just going to market now. It is what I'm calling a craftsman compound. So this is literally 1 mile to downtown, 1 mile to the convention center, 10 minutes to the beach, great metro area. And these are all like 1920s craftsman homes. So we've got a main house that is 4 bedrooms, 2 duplexes, and a bungalow house and 2 detached garages that bring in a total of $180,000 a year income. So talk about if you wanted to have either for an investment, these could be Airbnb. They used to be Airbnb. They now have long-term tenants in them. But you know, you want to get into San Diego, either if you wanted to owner occupy that big beautiful house. This is it's got all of the wood trim and all the you know, craftsman details that you can imagine, but they've also been lovingly cared for. And so, you know, you could owner occupy, or you could keep vacation rental them, keep one that is your option for your go-to spot when you visit San Diego. And we're listed at 3.8, literally just going on the market today. And as I mentioned, it's a 14,000 square foot double lot. So there's a lot of area. I don't know, well, I guess you can, I can't see some of the picture, but that's also an area that's undergoing a lot of redevelopment. The back half of the property also has potential for development somewhere down the road. So it's a pretty unique offering.
I love this. I love it. Yeah. Okay. What is it?
Yeah. So now we're talking affordability and a great beach location. So this one, Ocean Beach, literally this house is half a mile to the sand. So you can walk there in 10 minutes. It's also right off of the main strip, which is Newport Avenue in Ocean Beach. Great little beach town community. 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, 2166 square feet, wonderful outdoor entertaining areas. And it has a 3-car garage because parking at the beach is a premium. The other wonderful thing about this home is things are starting to open back up in San Diego. The school district in that area is a great school district. There's a park right next door that's they just reopened with all the kids' equipment. Great schools that are walkable, recreation centers. So, you know, this could be an investment property, could be short-term rental. So in San Diego, we don't have too many restrictions with the exception of Coronado that has a 26-day minimum. Most of the areas, and as we mentioned before, the Coastal Commission is keeping the short-term rentals going because they want people to have the options of the short-term stays. So either of these 2 properties that I'm putting on here could be short-term rentals or great owner occupied.
Thank you so much. Brady, I think you're up next. Here you are.
Perfect. So thank you. So this particular property is in Palm Springs proper, which is one of the 9 cities in the valley, and it's located at Ascena Golf Club. Now, unfortunately, this property just went into escrow yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But it's in a planned development. You can see here, nice big private pool, big open floor plan, and views from the primary bedroom out to the mountain. This is in a gated community. HOA fee is really low, public golf course, and about 10 minutes from town.
That's beautiful. $850. That's really, oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
What do we have
value? So up next, we've got on the other extreme, we've got a beautiful property in Rancho Mirage, California. Rancho Mirage is centrally located. This particular property is on just almost an acre, elevated off the valley floor in a private club called Thunderbird Heights. Thunderbird Heights is where former President Barack Obama will stay when he's in the valley. This particular property is quite grand, 7,500 square feet. What will probably cause this particular property to sell? 2 reasons. One, it's one of the few areas in the valley where you overlook the entire valley floor. So you actually have sea-light view. And secondly, you have a primary residence, but then you have a detached 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom guest home with its own private kitchen and living room. Imagine boomerang parents Boomerang children, put them in the 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom guest home. Members who buy here could join Thunderbird Country Club, where I happen to be a member, or they could choose to not. But it's a great, great property. The owner has actually $5 million into it, but is now living in Omaha, wants to sell, just came out at 3.85.
Well, I have a third reason why it will sell, and that's because you are listing it.
You're sweet.
Right?
I love you. Thanks, Jeannette.
Steve, I think we have you sharing next. This is beautiful.
Hidden Valley Lane, 4-bedroom, 7-bath, just shy of 7,000 feet, not counting the 2-bedroom, 2-bath guest house on 2¼ acres. And it's hard to tell in that shot, but that is the Santa Barbara Harbor off in the distance there. And if you get to the right place, that infinity pool does its job. This might shock some people, but this is actually a bank-owned property. That's been about 1/3 of my business over the last 32 years. And I do handle the high net worth or high asset value assets for banks. This isn't a fresh foreclosure. This is something that in the works for quite a while. So it's not a byproduct of anything current economically. But this is a lot of house and land and view for the money in Montecito.
It's very attractive and great acreage in that view. I mean, that's a big price tag, but I'm still surprised it's not bigger. What do you have next for us?
So this you might have seen on TMZ, because before Orlando and Katie bought what they just bought, they toured this. The paparazzi followed them to this property and got pictures of them through a window in the house. And that was not helpful in us selling the house. But I guess if you're worried about paparazzi, this house isn't for you. I wish we could call this new. It's basically rebuilt, but it's not brand new. But this, with half baths and full baths, actually has 14 bathrooms. Because God knows you need 14 bathrooms. But it's a stunning property done by a developer of some notoriety who did this for his own home.
5 acres. That's gorgeous.
That's why you need 14 bathrooms, Jeannette.
I'm sorry?
That's why you need 14 bathrooms. You got 5 acres to walk. You got
a few too many bathrooms for me.
The attention to detail in this house, the fit and finish it's unrivaled. It's really, really amazingly done.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And who do we have last? Lee. Lee. I'd like to finish with you.
This is actually a 3-unit property that was beautifully restored by my client for himself. He put every bell and whistle into this house. It's a restored craftsman right in the middle of Hollywood. You can walk to the W Hotel, you can walk to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, you can walk to the Capitol Records building. The Netflix headquarters is just 1 block away. Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles down the block. So
love it.
Now we're talking.
This property probably would have about $120,000 a year in income if you just use it as a lease property, but also works great to own or occupy the house and rent out the 2 units in the back. It's a wonderful, wonderful location right in the middle of Hollywood.
And so this could be income producing?
Yes, he was renting it out short term. A little bit, and he has 1 tenant that is in the back now, but he can deliver the whole property vacant.
Wow, very nice.
And the bedroom count on that is for the whole property.
Okay.
And this is a beautiful home in the middle of what's known as the Beverly Hills Flats, which is the section of Beverly Hills just at the foot of the actual hills. And it sits on over a ½ acre. It was designed by one of the most famous architects in LA history, a man named Paul Williams, in 1924. It has a guest house, a backyard that seems to go on forever. It's in an absolutely beautiful location. And most people would put some money in to fix this up. You could absolutely live in it. You can rent it out. My client was leasing it out last year. It's about a 3 block to the center of Beverly Hills restaurants and shops. It is about a 2-block walk over to the Beverly Hills Hotel where you can have lunch in the polo lounge. This is higher than the median price in Beverly Hills, but not that much higher.
I believe that.
Median price in Beverly Hills is 6.2.
It's beautiful. I love
right now, believe it or not, on the market in Beverly Hills are over 70 homes over $10 million.
Wow.
Lots to sell.
Yeah,
well, thank you. That was very informative. And every time I do this, there's something I want. So, and sometimes 2 or 3 things. So,
Jeannette, your audience may want to Google Paul Williams, the architect of that house. Man has a very, very interesting story.
Okay, I'm going to write that down. I'm going to Google that myself. So we are wrapping up on time. As I promised, I wanted the information in front of you so you could take note of where these experts are from, their contact information. So please jot that down. If you're an agent watching with us today, please share what you're learning in our broadcast with your clients, share it with your office. I mean, you could be part of helping people reach their goals and creating the life that they want. And if you're a prospective buyer viewing this today, know that reaching your dream is close. Vacation home, just a place that you can go and work now that you can be more mobile. We can help you find a place to create memories, or I've even had some clients buying places for their kids who will be leaving for college. We know that the stay at home is not going to last forever, and helping to, support that versus a college rental. And that's, of course, a smart financial move. So if these ideas are even a tiny bit intriguing, start educating yourself. Reach out to your local Keller Williams agent who can connect you with agents anywhere in the world, frankly, so that you can start learning, building kind of your basis, your foundation, so you can make some good buying decisions. And we can help you create an experiential life that you desire and that you deserve. So here again is the contact information for our experts. Again, write all this down so you have it at your fingertips. What I'd also like to say is that if to the audience, if you've enjoyed what we shared and you know someone that might find some value in it, because we know we have a lot of just the public that watches this, go ahead and put their names in the comment box so that they can find this video later. And feel free to like my business Facebook page, Spinelli Residential Group, so that you can hear about future broadcasts. So speaking of, next month, we will be in New York City and the surrounding areas. There's a lot of opportunity there. And that market's a little soft in Manhattan, but we know that's going to bounce up. So that might be a time, right now might be the time to buy for later. And we'll also go to some of the suburban areas as well. And then after that, listen to this lineup. We're going back international. Costa Rica, Greece, Israel, South Africa, Turks and Caicos, Portugal, Spain, Dubai, Uruguay, Chile. I mean, we have got offices everywhere, and we're going to get to all of them. If it takes me, I think right now, about four years of offices. By that time, maybe another 4 at the rate that Arechaederra is doing, Keller Williams International is doing such a great job at this. So again, locations everywhere. Reach out to your local KW person and get connected. So thank you so much, Christina. Love you. Lee, Steve, lovely Lisa, Brady. Thank you for your generosity in sharing all this great information with us today. Until next time, take care from Austin, Texas. This is Jeannette Spinelli with the Spinelli Residential Group. Go make it a powerful day. Stay healthy, and above all else, be kind. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jeannette.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jeannette.